Good morning and welcome. I'm William Griscom, President of Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology. Please rise for the invocation which will be delivered by Reverend Gerald Simmons and remain standing for the national anthem which will be sung by Isabella Almond. Reverend Simmons.
Let us look to God. Great God, holy and righteous King, creator and sustainer of all life, we come before you today with thanksgiving. On this most auspicious occasion, we are grateful, not only for the lives that you've given to us as individuals, but for the life of this great organization, Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology. We thank you for the benefactors that have made this new facility a reality, an opportunity for so many to have good and prosperous lives that can contribute to the fabric of our society. We thank you for the legacy of Thaddeus Stevens, statesman, philanthropist, humanitarian, who saw all men and women as brothers and sisters. We ask you to bless everything that is done, Lord. Bless this facility, God, that its doors may be open to thousands of young women and young men so that they may have the opportunity for the gratitude we feel this day. We pray these things in the name of God. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. Thank you, Reverend Simmons and Miss Almond. Our sign language interpreters for today's ceremony are on my left, Miss Marcia Barr, and on my right, Miss Kelsey Price. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the dedication of the Greiner Advanced Manufacturing Center. This facility is a perfect example of a bipartisan private-public partnership which will provide high-skill employees who are desperately needed to fill the ever-growing skills gap in Pennsylvania and in the country. This year, to date, over 1,233 employers are seeking our 400 graduates for over 4,000 high-skill, high-wage jobs that are currently vacant. This center will allow us to significantly increase our enrollment and provide a greater supply of the human resources, or the human capital, that are demanded by industry. At this time, I will introduce our platform guests going from my left to right. Please stand and be recognized as I call your name. Ms. Sharon Greiner, one of our donors. Mr. Frank Greiner, founder, president, and CEO of Greiner Industries, Incorporated, and obviously one of our donors. You may be seated. The former mayor of the city of Lancaster, Richard Gray. Mr. Michael Starla, who represents the 96th District of the House of Representatives. Senator Scott Martin, who represents the 13th Senatorial District. Mr. Richard Watson, who chairs the college's Board of Trustees. Mr. Curtis Topper, the Secretary of the Department of General Services. Ms. Kathy Luman, Executive Director of the Gene Haas Foundation, another donor. Mr. Kurt Zierhart, Vice President of Electrical Engineering and co-founder of Haas Automation. Mr. Robert Krasny, Chairman and CEO of Steinman Communications and Vice Chair of the Steinman Foundation, a donor to this project. Mr. Shane Zimmerman, President of the Steinman Foundation. Ms. Robin Stauffer, Executive Director of the High Foundation, a donor to this project. Mr. Douglas Brosman, President and CEO of Burnham Holdings, who donated all of the boilers to both of these buildings, plus a significant number of boilers, which you will see as the equipment and other equipment that's necessary for instruction here. Doug? And Mr. Paul Spradling, President of U.S. Boiler Company and affiliate of Burnham Holdings. On the second row, Dr. Christopher Metzler, Dean of Student Services. Mr. Michael DeGroff, Dean of Enrollment Services. Ms. Betty Tompos, Vice President for Finance and Administration. Ms. Delise Centron, President of Student Congress. Mr. Donald Hart, President of the Faculty Senate. Reverend Gerald Simmons, Senior Pastor of Faith Tabernacle Church, who gave the invocation, who will deliver the benediction. Ms. Isabella Amon, a graduating student in our cabinet-making program, who sang the national anthem. Mr. Scott Trower, President of the Thaddeus Stevens Foundation. Mr. Alex Monroe, Executive Director of the Alumni Association and the Foundation. Dr. Zoanne Parker, Vice President for Academic Affairs. And Mr. David Wolf, President of the Thaddeus Stevens Alumni Association. Seated directly in front of me are three members of our Board of Trustees. First, Ms. Mary Ann Murata, Vice Chair of the Board. Mr. Paul Hoffer, Secretary of the Board. And Mr. Tom Baldridge. From the audience, Mr. Charles Byers, President of the Faculty Association. Where Charlie's at. This event took an incredible amount of work and planning. I would appreciate if the Planning Committee would please stand and be recognized. Everyone on the Planning Committee. Stand up. Be shy. The faculty for the three programs that occupy these two buildings have done an incredible and tremendous amount of work with the transition, which actually started well over a year ago. I'd appreciate if all the faculty that are involved in these programs would stand up at this time. I would also like to recognize Mr. Gene Duncan, our Director of Facilities, who practically lived here during the construction. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency, he's actually on a helicopter flying to Philadelphia right now. Gene could not be with us this morning. Mr. James Arcuri was the Regional Director of the Department of General Service who oversaw this project and did a great job. Jim, would you please stand up? The architectural firm who designed these buildings is Greenfield Architects, who not only met but exceeded all of our program requirements. They're represented today by their president, Frank Fox, and senior project architect, Ron Marshall. Frank and Ron. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce one of the project's greatest advocates and one of the college's most ardent supporters, the Secretary of the Department of General Services, Mr. Curtis Topper. Mr. Secretary.
Good morning. It is an absolute pleasure to be here today on behalf of Governor Wolf and to join you in celebrating this amazing dedication of a truly amazing facility. I like to share with Dr. Griscom and with Alex when I see them just frequently just how inspired I am every time I have an opportunity to step on this campus, because the work that is done here at Thaddeus-Stevens, this institution is a jewel among jewels here in the Commonwealth. And every dollar that we invest in this institution pays dividends in countless ways. This institution does remarkable work, effectively breaking a cycle of poverty among many of the students who managed to come through this institution, and effectively connecting the students to something genuine, right? To something real. I think that in too often in our lives today, we in our culture, we seem to be obsessed increasingly with the abstract. Have you noticed? We deal in abstractions. We're perpetually entertained. And what I love about Thaddeus-Stevens and what I love about the work that we do here is the same thing that I love about much of the work that we do at the Department of General Services. It's real. It's tangible. It enables folks to build an identity. Our students build an identity and attached around a genuine skill, something tangible, something meaningful. And it's a place where you can ground your identity throughout your entire professional life. And that's no small thing, particularly in these times. It's an absolute privilege to be here and an honor to be a supporter of this institution. And I'd like to just take a minute just to recognize a few other folks who were a big part of this. DGS is filled with incredibly dedicated and creative public servants who really went above and beyond to make sure that this project got done successfully and on time. And I'd like to thank Dr. Griscom for mentioning Jim Arcuri. Jim, thank you for your work. I'd like to mention Paul Flood. If you're here, Paul, would you stand? Thank you, Paul, for your work on this effort. Bart Richwine, who I think is retired, so he's probably not here. But I wanted to just make sure I acknowledge you guys publicly. It's no small thing. It's a ton of work to get something like this done. And I'm glad that you guys can be here to enjoy, to be recognized and to enjoy what is truly just a gorgeous facility. Have you noticed? I was chatting, forgive me, your admissions director when I came in. Is it Michael? Yeah, I think we just made Mike's job easier, he was saying. Right, so we can walk students through here and they can see that, we're building for the future. And that is essentially what, if you've heard the governor speak since the election, he's been talking a lot about restoring Pennsylvania, about Pennsylvania being on a comeback, about making investments, necessary investments that make sure that our workforce is prepared to effectively compete and to restore Pennsylvania to what we all think, I believe, is its rightful place as the home of innovation, as the home of industrial might. There is no question that Thaddeus-Stevens has a critical and key role to play in the Commonwealth's overall workforce development effort. And so it's with that that we're really pleased to be able to continue to invest in the institution and in the facilities here. And I'm grateful for having an opportunity just to address you this morning. I wanted to be very brief, so I'm going to stop. But thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and let's celebrate. What a day. Thank you. Liz. I forgot to mention Liz O'Reilly, who's our Deputy Secretary for Public Works. And I want to recognize that, you know, I went to Liz early on in this process after meeting with Bill and Alex, and I said, what was the deadline you gave us? And I took the deadline, and, you know, the Commonwealth doesn't always do things that quickly, right? I think maybe you've noticed. And I went to Liz, and I said, we need to get it done by this date. And Liz said, uh-huh. And then we got the team together, and we talked it through, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we hit it.
You beat it.
I think we beat it. You know, my hat's off to all of you who worked so hard to make this happen. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Richard Watson, Chairperson of the Board of Trustees. Rick.
Thank you, Bill. I'll keep this brief. I wanted to tie this, what's happening today, back to our mission and values as an institution. This center is visible evidence of the college's continuing commitment to live out its mission to educate Pennsylvania's economically and socially disadvantaged, as well as other qualified students, for skilled employment in a diverse and ever-changing workforce, for effective participation as citizens. Through the addition of the state-of-the-art center, the college will further enhance its ability to realize its vision to be the best two-year technical college of its kind and meet our future workforce needs. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank all who were part of making this center possible. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Senator Scott Martin. Scott.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here today. I know Representative Sterling and I are in session. It's a voting day, but for this to be able to work out where we could be here for such a historic moment, I know means a lot. It seems like just yesterday we were breaking ground to the hope of what this image and what this vision could become, and to see it standing here today, anchor down here in the southeast part of Lancaster, is something that's truly amazing. I want to say congratulations not only to a job well done with Secretary Topper and his staff, but Dr. Griscom, the faculty, the staff members, the alumni of this institution have been tireless cheerleaders on what this community needs, what our students need, what our employers need in order to move forward. And I didn't bring a copy of the program up here with me, but I was thinking about the word advanced manufacturing center. Advanced is to move forward. It's so Lancaster County, but it's so much for this institution. And if everyone in this room is excited, there's people out there right now, whether they're employers who are looking to grow their companies or students who are looking at what opportunities are out there for a great family-sustaining job. They're going to be excited when they learn about the opportunities that are going to occur here. So when I think of that word advanced and moving forward, the impact is not just going to be about today, it's going to be for generations to come. But I'd like to throw down a marker at this very moment. This is a day to celebrate as we build the infrastructure of this institution to provide more opportunities. What's equally as important is for us to never take the eye off the ball, and that is funding this institution in a way to operate it, to provide the opportunity so that more students aren't declined enrollment, that more employers who come here saying, man, I really have these needs, that they can't say, we don't have any more students. So let this serve as a marker in this excitement today, and not only the opportunity that this facility is now going to provide, but this keep our eye on the ball, to keep building this institution to provide those opportunities that our economy of today and our economy of tomorrow is going to need. So God bless you all who made this a reality, and look forward to working with you to continue to advocate for the true gem that is Thaddeus Stevens. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Martin. Our next speaker is Representative Michael Sterler. Mike.
Thanks, and I'll apologize in advance. Senator Martin and I are going to have to scurry out of here after I speak because we've got to get to Harrisburg. But as quickly as this has come around, this has been a long time coming. And I hearken back to when Thaddeus Stevens and I first sat down and he was talking about starting the college. And but actually, this is, as a representative for this district where this college is, many times people say to me, oh, you have that nice little facility down there in your district. And a couple years ago, then Speaker Keith McCall said, oh, yeah, there's that college down there, and I know you always want to have something, a line item in the budget for it and that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, it's really not just my little college down in my little district. It serves all of Pennsylvania in terms of a workforce. And about 2 months later, he said to me, you know what? He said, I was getting an addition put on my house. He said, and the mason said to me, he was a graduate of Thaddeus Stevens College. And this is a guy who lived up in the northern part of the state. And that just goes to show you the sort of reach that you have in terms of changing people's lives and businesses that are created as a result of the people that pass through these doors. This facility is a great facility, and we're actually going to be doing a joint policy hearing, Republican and Democratic policy hearing down here next month, I believe it is. And to be able to walk them through these new buildings, I mean, that's going to be pretty impressive. And to get them to understand that it really is something that is for all of Pennsylvania. So congratulations on a great step forward, and I look forward to doing more with you. So thanks.
Thank you, Representative Sterler. And just FYI, I think there's 350 to 375 companies in Pennsylvania that currently are owned by our graduates. So you're right. That is an important aspect of what we try and accomplish. Next is former mayor of the city of Lancaster, who's also representing the current mayor, Denise Sirachi, who is accepting an award in Harrisburg at this time, and she sends her regrets. Mayor Gray played a critical role in acquiring the property for the center. Rick?
That's a nice thing about being retired. The next thing I have to do is eat lunch, so it's time's optional on that, too. Excuse me, I'm going to read some of the speech. Winston Churchill once said, let me speak for an hour and a half. I don't need any notes. Tell me I can speak for 3 to 5 minutes. I better write it down. So, first of all, Mayor Sirachi asked me to convey to her, her disappointment in not being able to be here today. She's with the governor in Harrisburg, so she wishes all well. I want to give a little background on this piece of property. The city of Lancaster had been searching for a piece of property where they could combine our streets and parks departments. Our streets department is in a horrible building, is falling apart, not properly ventilated. Our parks department is right down at the end of this property, and part of the property we conveyed. We were looking and looking, and the armory left, and we found the deed where the armory got the property had to write a revision to the city, which meant as soon as they left, it was ours. In fact, the first time I was down here, they still had it chained, and we couldn't get them to open it. There's a bureaucracy in Harrisburg. Wasn't you guys. And I said to one of our streets guys, don't you have a bolt cutter? And he said, sure. So I said, get it, we own it, we'll cut the lock off. And we cut the lock off and came in and looked around. We were elated with the property that we had, which answered the needs that we were looking for, looking to spend probably millions of dollars to buy and build on. So after we got done the hi-fi, in walked Dr. Griscom with a request that we sell our dream property to Stevens. His request was bolstered with the promise that if we sold, Stevens will build a campus on this property in the middle of one of our neighborhoods. Now, I haven't been down here. The last time I was down here, we had a shovel, and we were shoveling dirt, not what you normally think of politicians, but this was dirt. It was a groundbreaking. So when I pulled in the driveway here, it shocked me what was here in place. And my gosh, is this the right place? Have I landed somewhere? Well, after Dr. Griscom asked us to sell the property, we weighed the advantages and disadvantages for the city. We came to the conclusion that an institution of higher education will work as an illustration to our children that the path of post-secondary education was a gateway to the future. We came to the difficult but obvious conclusion that rather than a storage shed for trucks, the value of this campus in the middle of one of our neighborhoods would be of great benefit in the long run to our community. Even though it would cost the city money, and it has cost us a lot of money to sell the property, the benefit in the long run to our community would be celebrated. Even though again it would cost us money to build at a different location, the use of that the use that we are here to celebrate today to better promote the long-term interests of the city and the surrounding community was obvious. We had a new dream. The new dream is where our kids can see the advantages of developing skills, providing economic security. The campus says to this community that the residents in the community have not only value, but a future. So thank you, Dr. Griscom and Mr. and Mrs. Greiner. I was going to list the people that contributed, but it's so long. Everyone who made a contribution or led in this, for giving the opportunity to improve the city of Lancaster and advance our community and the future of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Gray, and thank you for having the vision to, I think, use this property for a higher purpose. And actually, it wasn't just me. Alex Monroe and I drive by this place every day on our way to work, and Alex came to me and said, "Do you see that place is boarded up over there?" He said, "I don't think they're there anymore." And he said, he's got out and read the sign and everything, and he said, "I think we should get that property." So both of us worked with Mayor Gray to try and make that happen. So Alex was a full partner in that process. As I stated in my opening remarks, this project is an example of a private-public partnership. Approximately $3 million was raised from over 200 donors to acquire the property and acquire the incredible equipment that you'll see when you go through these two buildings. We've recognized those donors on an interactive digital donor wall that's inside the north building. The next 5 speakers are the largest contributors to that project. First to speak will be Frank and then Sharon Greiner of Greiner Industries, who were the first donors and established a significant critical matching gift program. Frank and Sharon.
Well, this started for us in 2013. Sharon was reading the paper one night. I get home from work, and she said, "Here's an article that Thaddeus Stevens is really looking to expand, And my comments were, well, we really need it. Trying to find people every week, struggling, to get good employees. So I didn't really think a whole lot about it. And then about 3 days later, I went over to pick some papers up at my accountant, and he brought up and he said, Frank, did you see the article in the Lancaster paper? And I said, yeah, Sharon was talking about it. He said, maybe you should think about that. And that's all he said. So anyway, I got home that night and I talked to Sharon. I said, hey, what do you think? You think we should get involved? You think we should do something here to help? And I think after, a couple days, we came up with the conclusion of, hey, we like to help, and I think we can make a difference. And we felt that this is a very important area to help invest for the future of all the counties around. And with tradespeople just declining, people retiring, so every year it seemed to be getting worse. So then at that point, I think we called Alex, and Alex stopped up to see me, so we talked over, and we got things rolling at that point. And then here we are in 2019, and what a tremendous campus that we have today. We have the high technology of equipment. We have just a beautiful building layout and good instructors. So at this point, what more can we ask for to help the younger generation to step up, hopefully take a trade, and they can really live a good life. The pay has been increasing over the years because of so much competition. And anyway, I'm just so grateful that we're at where we are today. One thing Alex didn't tell me, that good things take time. I can be sort of a type of impatient person. But anyway, I thought maybe in 2015, at the latest 16, but here we are 19. But anyway, all the young people today, they have great opportunities, and I'm just hoping that a lot of them take advantage of this. And also, I want to thank all the individuals, families, corporations that helped to make this happen, because it really took a team effort. And I'm just so grateful where it's at today.
Good morning. As Frank said, we are honored to be here today, and we must give glory to God for directing all of us to be here today, instilling in us the wisdom to partner with Thaddeus Stevens. You know, my husband started the business 47 years ago, and his dream at that time was to build a company, not from just the one person. He didn't envision we'd have 300 employees 47 years ago, but he set a high standard. And that high standard of excellence is still here at Greiner Industries. He looked to the horizon, and he continues to look at the horizon for new technologies. But we wouldn't be here today without the qualified, talented staff that we have at Greiner Industries. They have taken his goal and went beyond anything that he could have imagined. So with 300 employees, again, the possibility of being here today is because of them. We are looking forward to continuing to partner with Thaddeus Stevens to have new employees from Thaddeus Stevens. Everyone sitting over there, you come knock on our doors. We want to show you this new technology that you trained on, and you can use it at our shop. And again, as Frank said, this was a team effort. There's so many talented people here today. And every one of you who is here, this is your legacy. This building is what's going to touch the future. So thank you.
Next is Ms. Kathy Luman, Executive Director of the Gene Haas Foundation. Kathy.
Thank you, Dr. Grisham, and thank you, Frank and Sharon. Your speaking gave me kind of a segue into what I was going to say. I know it was fun for all of us to hear a little bit about who you are and your company and your story. And I go to a lot of college campuses and see a lot of buildings around cities that have people's names on them. And I look at the name and I think, who was that person, and why did they choose to invest their money in this particular building or this particular project? And we just heard why Frank and Sharon chose to invest in Thaddeus Stevens, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Gene Haas is and his reason for investing in Thaddeus Stevens and in programs like Thaddeus Stevens across the country. Gene Haas started Haas Automation over 30 years ago. Prior to that, he grew up middle-class family in the San Fernando Valley. His dad was an aerospace engineer, and his mom stayed home with the kids, and they lived in a 3-bedroom house, and 2 boys in one room and 2 girls in the other. And Gene earned money by working in a machine shop. Started out sweeping the floors, but then kind of realized he had a talent for helping the machinists set up their parts and figure out ways to do things. But the aerospace industry at that point in time was going through some problems where a lot of people were getting laid off. So Gene said, I don't think that I should go be an engineer. I think I'll go be an accountant. People always need accountants. So he went to school and became an accountant and got out of school after graduating with a degree in accounting and said, I don't want to be an accountant. So he left and he went and worked on the pit crew for a car racing team for a couple of years, and then came back to town and said, I still don't want to be an accountant. So he bought a couple of machines and opened up a small job shop. Well, in the aerospace industry or other industries where job shops work, when you're the new kid on the block, you get the jobs that nobody else wants and nobody can figure out how to machine. So Gene decided that he was going to design a product that would help him machine these hard-to-machine parts, which was an indexing head, which was Haas's first product. And Gene had designed the product, but he was a mechanical engineer by nature, and he didn't really know how to make his product talk to the machine so that the product, the indexing head, could operate. And Gene looked up Kurt Zierhut, who is sitting on the podium next to me, who he'd gone to high school with and was the smartest kid in the school and had gone on to be an engineer. And Kurt and Gene worked together at that point to make that indexing head talk to the machine and become a viable part. And Sun Valley, where Gene started his business, was an area where every single shop was a job shop and everybody was doing the same thing. And when all the other shops in the area saw this indexing head, they're like, build me one. And all of a sudden, Gene wasn't making very many parts for aerospace companies anymore. He was making indexing heads. And there was a machine tool builder down the street called Fidel, and they were a young California company as well. And they started buying the product from Gene and Kurt and putting the product on their machine as an add-on that people could buy. And Gene and Kurt were in their company on a regular basis and said, well, why are we building this cheap little product? Why don't we build a whole machine? And the rest is history. Haas is now the largest machine tool builder in the United States, pretty close to the largest in the world. It varies between third and fourth, and some of those other companies are owned by countries where, and governments, where Haas Automation is still individually owned. And because Haas is individually owned, Gene is able to put millions of dollars aside every year to help education. And he believes in that manufacturing is a foundation of a strong country. And that's why he puts millions of dollars aside. And this year our budget is $15 million, and $14 million of those dollars is going for scholarships, supporting student competitions in the manufacturing industry, and helping to put together facilities like here at Thaddeus-Stevens. And in closing, I would like to say one thing about Thaddeus-Stevens. I myself have been in the machine tool industry 35 years, and for me, I watched Haas grow from a little company that the big guys all kind of laughed at and said, ha, those guys are going to be gone tomorrow, until what they are today. And it's an honor for me to be a part of Haas right now, and part of my job is making decisions about dispersing the funds, but a bigger part of my job is the communication and the social media and trying to change the perception of manufacturing jobs in the United States. And one of the ways that I accomplish that is through social media, and besides tweeting and LinkedIn and all the channels that we talk about the exciting things that are going on, I also read and listen to what's going on in the country. And I have been so impressed with the program here at Thaddeus-Stevens and the things that are going on, the outreaches that you guys are performing to the high schools and even younger children. And you're doing a phenomenal job here, and that's why a company from California is investing in this building. And thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Kathy. Our next speaker is Mr. Shane Zimmerman, president of the Steinman Foundation. Shane.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Steinman Foundation, its co-chairs Bob Krasny and Pamela Tia, its chairman emeritus Peggy Steinman, and frankly all of the employees of Steinman Communications, who really are the financial engine that's made the Steinman Foundation possible. I just want to congratulate Dr. Grissom and all of the team that made this day possible. This has been a long day coming, and as the Greiner said, for us it dates back to 2013 as well. So my guess is the day after Dr. Grissom met with you, he came knocking on our door as well to find some matching funds to go with that grant that you put out there. And when I think back to 2013, I think back to a period of time when we were coming out of the financial crisis. Things were starting to get better. And from a foundation's perspective, all of a sudden, all these capital campaigns started popping up everywhere. Every week, we'd get another proposal for a capital campaign and another group that wanted to come in and talk about lots and lots of great projects. And then one day, Dr. Grissom, knocked on the door and said he wanted to come in and talk about this project. And quickly, it became apparent that this was a very different conversation. We sat down for a meeting, Bob Krasny and I, with Dr. Grissom and his team. And we came away with a pretty clear understanding that there was a crisis taking place here locally, at a statewide level, and across the country in terms of workforce development. Lots and lots of jobs were out there, but there weren't enough skilled candidates to fill those jobs. We really saw it as an opportunity. And so when we were asked to support this, we decided to step up. And the challenge still exists today. As I understand it, last year, 1,400 companies came to Thaddeus-Stevens trying to fill 3,000 job openings, and we have a graduating class of 400. At the same time, you've got 3,000 applicants applying for 700 seats. So back to Senator Martin's comments, this is a giant leap forward. This is a great first step, but we can't take our eye off the ball. There is so much opportunity here, and this is a great step in the right direction. I would like to applaud the Greiners for their leadership and also applaud everyone who's made this day possible. I would also like to close by saying that this conversation, this relationship that has developed, has had a lasting impact on the Steinman Foundation. In 2015, we made a commitment to identify economic and workforce development as an area of focus, and I think the conversation that took place around this project had a strong part to play in that. We also then identified STEM education as a key component to workforce development, and that led to the formation of the Lancaster County STEM Alliance. Lancaster County is now recognized as one of the leading STEM ecosystems in this country. We are nationally recognized because of the work that's being done in this county. And when we have a chance to gather with other communities from around the country and talk about what makes us unique, what makes Lancaster special, it's because of organizations and institutions like Thaddeus Stevens and the Greiner Advanced Manufacturing Center that make it a differentiator for this community. And I just want to acknowledge, Dr. Grissom and his team. He's been a member of the STEM Alliance board since its inception. And we're just so excited about this project. We're so excited about the future and the impact that this is going to make on our community for years and years to come. So thank you very much for your time and attention today.
Thank you, Shane. Our next speaker is Ms. Robin Stauffer, Executive Director of the High Foundation. Robin.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the High Foundation, the High family, and the High companies, which includes Greenfield Architects, I might mention, thank you, Dr. Griscom, for the opportunity to be here today to celebrate the opening and the launch of the new Greiner campus for advanced manufacturing. And a special thank you to the Greiner family for the important investment and contribution that you have made, both here at the college and in our Lancaster County community. This is an important day for all of us, as it continues to build on the foundation the college began many years ago as it followed the vision of Thaddeus Stevens, who knew that education in the trades was the path out of homelessness and poverty. That vision still rings true today as we strive to educate the economically disadvantaged and other qualified students in order that all can develop the skills necessary to achieve a good quality of life through solid, family-sustaining jobs. High is especially mindful of the importance of the college being part of the fabric of our community, as we have benefited from graduates who have joined our organization, and we have been honored to partner in a variety of ways to meet the increasing need for skilled workers both here in Lancaster County and across Pennsylvania. We have also appreciated the emphasis that was placed on core values like integrity, diversity, respect, collaboration, lifelong learning, and accountability as key to the college's success, as these same values resonate with the culture and philosophy at High. It is for these reasons and many more that the High family is particularly proud to continue to support the college, whether through the Esdale and Sadie High Endowed Scholarship Program, the High Foundation's funding for the Greiner campus and for space and equipment for the metals fabrication and welding technology program, or the High company's support through the State Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program, all intended to help achieve Thaddeus Stevens' dream to provide opportunity for all in an environment where individual differences are valued and nurtured. Thank you, Dr. Grissom, to you and your team, and to the Greiner family for your leadership, your vision, and for the vital instruction and education that will be possible with the new Greiner campus for advanced manufacturing. High Foundation is proud to be among the list of supporters for this important addition to the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. The last donor who will provide remarks is Mr. Douglas Brosman, President and CEO of Burnham Holdings. Doug?
Well, good morning. I'm Doug Brosman, President and CEO of Burnham Holdings. Based here in Lancaster, we manufacture, build, and sell residential and commercial boilers, everything from a small unit that'll go in your basement to large units that are in the Statue of Liberty, in the Bellagio Casino, and hundreds of other buildings across the country. With me today is Paul Spradling of our residential group that actually built some of the boilers, as well as Jim Snore, who runs our commercial business that built the larger boilers. So on behalf of Paul, Jim, and the rest of our 750 employees, we're proud to support the college, the establishment of the Greiner campus, and the Burnham Holdings Center for HVAC Technology. The center includes 46 of our most advanced boilers that the students can use to train as they pursue a career in HVAC technology. It also includes 4 of our larger commercial boilers that will heat the buildings. So, you know, on this beautiful day, I'm probably the only person here rooting for cold weather, so I could take credit for keeping everybody warm. But no, I'm not really here for credit for our small contribution, because, you know, whether it's welding or fabrication or machining or plant maintenance or installation, everything the students learn at this campus support our company and our success. So this was really an easy decision for us to come and support the college. So I'd like to recognize some of the larger contributions of those here on stage with us. You know, education was a passion of Thaddeus Stevens. In the 1830s, he actually worked with a different Governor Wolfe for the first free education bill, free public education bill in the state. So I am thrilled to see that that passion for access to education is still alive in our political leadership. I'd also like to thank the Greiner family and the High family, as well as the other industrial donors up here with me to make this project a reality. But finally, I'd really like to thank Dr. Grisham and Alex just for the foresight. I mean, if you've been out here, the foresight to see the underutilized industrial property that this was and turn that into the vibrant campus that it's become is really amazing and is really going to benefit our community for many generations to come. So thank you to the college for all that you've done for us.
Thank you, Doug. Our next speaker is Mr. Donald Hart, President of the Faculty Senate. Don.
Good morning. What a beautiful day. The sun is shining. It's a perfect day for this event. On behalf of the faculty at Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology, I'd like to thank and recognize all the efforts made by all those who support our school and support our mission. State representatives, the Board of Trustees, surrounding communities, our administration, our staff, our faculty, Alex Monroe and his office and all that he has done, local industries, and especially the Greiner family. Thank you so much for what you do and contribute. Because of your energies and your pursuit, Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology, it will continue to grow, and our mission continues to serve many. No other investment yields as great a return as the investment in education. An educated workforce is the foundation of every community, and it is the future of every economy. There's a shortage of skilled workers in our state, in our nation, and our graduates are answering that call. They get good jobs within our state with good benefits. They buy cars, they buy homes, they raise their families here. All this helps to boost the economy and to build stronger communities. That is the return on this investment that we are standing in today. And I'm proud to be part of it. And the rest of the faculty is also proud to be part of it. I want to thank you very much. And I'll close with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Our next speaker is Ms. Delise Cintron, President of Student Congress. Delise.
Dr. Griscom, elected officials, board members, faculty, staff, and fellow students. I would like to thank everyone for coming here to celebrate the opening of this beautiful facility. It is an honor to speak on behalf of the student body here at Thaddeus Stevens. I want to thank everyone's hard work and dedication to make this facility a reality. I am sure that future Stevens students will benefit from these labs, demonstrating that they made the right decision in attending Stevens and these career choices as they help meet the workforce needs in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Delise. Our final speaker is Mr. Scott Trower, president of the Thaddeus Stevens Foundation. Scott?
Good morning, or should I say good afternoon. When you're the 13th speaker in a long list, you start to run out of things that you think you might want to say. So I'm going to ad-lib. I'm going to rip up my list, put away my glasses, and maybe personalize this a little bit. I think back to 1978 when I was in high school, and I didn't have a clue of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, basically who I wanted to be, so to speak. My father said to me, why don't you think about Stevens? Get a trade under your belt, always something you could fall back on. So I took his advice, which I normally didn't do, and I came out here and I toured the facility. And I have to say I didn't really fall in love with it. It wasn't real sexy, so to speak. It was just a bunch of buildings. But nonetheless, I did decide to come to Stevens, and I got into the printing program, and within 2 years graduated. Right outside of there, true to form, had a job. And worked in that industry for years. Met my wife in the same industry, who, by the way, was a graduate also. And it was sometime later, early 2000s, that when I was here, I just stopped by one day. I was amazed by how much this place has progressed. So I decided I'd like to try to give back and get on the board, which I did. And as you watch this grow, and as an alum, it makes you feel really, really good to be a part of it. It's changing the lives, as we all know, and we've heard this before, but it really, really does change the lives of a lot of the kids that come through this program, the school. My youngest also graduated here 2 years ago. So now you can see we're really a whole Stevens family, so to speak, and it's great to watch him grow and morph. He's on now to University of Pittsburgh to try to get his bachelor's, but he met 3 guys from the same program, electronics. They're all friends. They hang out together. So it's just kind of neat to see the family continue, within Stevens. So having said that, it's just, I don't know if there's other folks that bleed Stevens like I do, but hopefully after listening to everyone here today, watching this grow in this beautiful facility, we're going to be attracting more and more good students, changing the state and really the country with what our skilled laborers are going to be doing. It just makes you feel pretty good inside. So with that, I'll close. And again, I want to thank everyone, especially the Greiners, and all the donors as well, for their continued support in making us who we are today. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. At this time, Reverend Simmons will give the benediction. Reverend Simmons.
Again, may we rest on our feet. Again, gracious God, we come before you this morning, thanking you, Lord, for this opportunity to hear the wonderful contributions of the administration, the faculty, the staff, the donors, the alums, the students, and the community members who support the great work of this institution, the direction that it portends for so many lives of upward economic mobility and opportunity for good and prosperous and worthwhile, meaningful careers and professions. We ask, oh God, that you would direct the hearts and the minds of young people through the allies of Thaddeus Stevens to consider technical education with its many benefits, not only to them, but to this society as a whole. We ask these blessings in the name of our God, and all the people of God said, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Simmons. Well, I promised an hour, and that's just about on the button, so we did pretty good, didn't we? This concludes our formal ceremony. You're asked to allow the stage party to exit the tent to the left, and then join us for a ribbon-cutting ceremony between the two buildings. Following the ribbon-cutting ceremony, there will be tours that will be open. We have guides out there. Our students will be serving as ambassadors. There's refreshments in both buildings and a small token of remembrance of this event in the south building next to the interactive donor wall. We appreciate everyone coming and helping us celebrate this wonderful event. This time I'd ask the stage party to move toward the ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you all.
We're gonna put a light there. Just stand next to our light. Yeah. Sam, bring it up.
Make sure that
yeah, just stand next to it if you don't mind. Sam, turn that slightly this way. It should be red tape. Yeah, just hold on for a minute, okay?
I'll hold it if you want.
What we're going to do is slide everybody a little forward. That way we make sure we have spaces in between shoulders. We need you. There you go. And we got a good amount of space on either side.
You're critical. Hold on to this ribbon here and get up to the front.
Get here, Alex. Looking good. We missing anybody?
We're good. If you would want to position the scissors for some pictures.
Be careful.
Actually, sovereign immunity. We're set? All right. It is my honor, as chair of the Board of Trustees of Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology, to officially proclaim the opening of the Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology Greiner Advanced Manufacturing Center. There we go. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good for you. I have phone calls this afternoon. Okay. So when I have events down here, I try to. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. That's a lot.